What is up, and welcome to SGPN's The Daily Dog. I'm your host, Britton Hess. I'm here with my favorite Underdog Fantasy Pick'em plays for Wednesday, January 1st, 2025, first show of the year. Let's keep on winning like we have been the last several days. If you're new to Underdog Fantasy, starting the new year with a new Fantasy Pick'em app, using Underdog, which is a smart move. It's the best one out there. Trust me, I do use them all. Underdog is the one that I use the most naturally because it has the best options, the best promos, best bonuses, everything else. So I do use Underdog, but if you're new to Underdog, use promo code DAILYDOG, DAILYDOG at UnderdogFantasy.com or on the Underdog Fantasy app to get a 50% deposit match bonus worth up to $1,000. That means if you put $1,000 on the app, you get $500 for free. If you put $2,000 on the app, you get $1,000 extra to play with. If you put $100 on, you get $50 extra to play with. Whatever your bankroll, that promo code is going to help you out get started on this app. Like I said, we've been winning slips every day for the last several days. Yesterday we did return a slight loss in the profit loss column, but the slip was mostly a winner there, most of the stuff was winners thanks to college football and also the NBA. I went a little crazy with NHL. None of those ended up coming home, but it is what it is. We will be back with one NHL slip today and 4 college football slips today, and 2 NBA slips, and of course the big lotto lotto entry for this new year. So let's get right into it. We're going to start with these. I forgot I also did a Saturday college football one, Saturday NFL one that I wanted to get locked in early because I think these numbers are going to be on the move. We're going to start out with Chase Brown, lower than 68.5 rushing yards in the game for the Bengals against the Steelers. Last I saw, Chase Brown had a high ankle sprain. High ankle sprain does not really work for big explosive runs. Changing directions obviously is hard. Running straight can actually hurt too. You can re-aggravate it fairly easily, especially against a physical defense like the Steelers. The motivation factor, you can think about that or do with that what you want, given that it is Week 18 in the NFL and the Steelers are in the playoffs regardless, and the Bengals quote-unquote need it more than them. But Chase Brown, you can't just will away a high ankle sprain. It's a really tough issue, especially for a running back. So I'm going to play Chase Brown lower than 68.5 rushing yards. I have a feeling this one's going to continue to go down. Then I'm going to pair that with Chris Boswell, higher than 1.5 field goals made. The Steelers are going to kick field goals every game, no matter what, especially a division game at the end of the season. Who knows what starters are playing? Who knows how the Steelers are going to approach this one? But no matter what, the guy kicking field goals is going to be Chris Boswell. I think they're going to have at least 2 opportunities. He doesn't miss very often. He's the best kicker in the league. Give me Chris Boswell, higher than 1.5 field goals made, paired with Chase Brown, lower than 68.5 rushing yards. That's a 3x multiplier, all standard there. Next, we're going to go to college football for today. We're going to go with Jaydon Blue, higher than 53.5 rushing yards. Did you see this guy versus Clemson? His speed was outstanding. Clemson looked like the slowest team I've seen in America. They're obviously not that unathletic. They're a pretty solid team, at least recruiting-wise. I think that there's going to be trouble for the type of trouble the type of trouble he created for Clemson is going to be available in this game versus Arizona State. ASU's defense is going to have their hands full trying to keep this guy contained. 53.5 rushing yards, far too little for me. Yes, he can make big plays in the passing game, but I don't think we need to mess around with that. I think that he's going to get 53.5 rushing yards. I think he's going to have several big runs in this game. So 53.5 is going to be easy. We're pairing that with Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver of Ohio State, higher than 16.5 receiving yards. He had 100 or 90 something on 10 catches in the last time the Buckeyes played Oregon. I think Egbuka, the senior, the leader, the older wide receiver of this star tandem with him and Jeremiyah Smith, slept on. His numbers are way too low. Give me Emeka Egbuka, higher than 16.5 receiving yards. His catch volume is just too high for a number this low. That is a straight up 3x multiplier. Next one, we're going to go Jeremiyah Love, Notre Dame running back, higher than 0.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns against Georgia. I think that Georgia is going to be in for a rude awakening. They're not that much better than Notre Dame in my estimation, especially with a backup quarterback. I think Jeremiyah Love is a world-class quarterback or world-class running back in college who would be putting up these kind of numbers in any conference versus any level of opposition. He's got a touchdown in every game this year. I don't think it stops here. So give me Jeremiyah Love, higher than 0.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns. Pairing that one with Dillon Gabriel, higher than 0.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns of Oregon against Ohio State. Yes, he's a quarterback. Yes, he usually throws. He does run. He's more mobile than you think. And it's time to, caution to the wind. It's time to QB sneak. It's time to scramble around the goal line. It's time to dive over that pylon, whatever it takes. Dillon Gabriel, higher than half of a rushing plus receiving touchdown, 3.26x multiplier. College football number 3. Sam Leavitt, quarterback for Arizona State, higher than 10.5 rushing yards. He is a dual threat guy. He's not, a burner or anything, but he is very mobile. He's good enough at escaping pressure. And that's going to be important because in college, sacks hurt, or sacks count against your rushing total. We really need Sam Leavitt to avoid the big sack losses and really make sure that he gets the yards here and, has a couple big plays. If he gets to like 25, 30 rushing yards, I don't care how many times he kneels, he's probably going to be good. So let's hope he reels off a couple big ones before the sacks happen, before the kneel downs could potentially happen at the end of a half. So give me Sam Leavitt higher than 10.5 rushing yards. I think scheme-wise, Dillingham is going to have something ready to roll with this dude. We're going to pair that with another quarterback, Riley Leonard, higher than 36.5 rushing yards for Notre Dame. There's a theme in this, on this show, is that this is the college football playoffs. There's nothing to wait for. You got to lay it all on the line. Riley Leonard had some injury issues last year at Duke. They didn't run him a whole lot at Notre Dame this year. Now, caution to win. You got to run Riley Leonard higher than 36.5 rushing yards. Knock off a couple big ones here. Make Georgia humbled, but with your athleticism, speed, everything else, let's go Riley Leonard higher than 36.5 rushing yards. This is a 3x multiplier when you pair him with Sam Leavitt higher than 10.5 rushing yards. I like so many college football plays. I had to do a fourth two-leg entry for the college football board today. We're going to go with Gunnar Stockton higher than 0.5 interceptions. This Notre Dame defense is good. Xavier Watts, All-American safety. Amazing player back there. Yes, there's some injuries to the Notre Dame defense. Secondary should be good. Gunnar Stockton, not a ton of experience, and now he's thrust into this position. I know Georgia has a lot of good people around him, but come on, man. This is not for the faint of heart. That's what I'll say. So give me Gunnar Stockton higher than 0.5 interceptions. Pairing that with Cam Skattebo, higher than 1.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns against Texas. Higher than 1.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns. You can do a single one if you're a little bit more conservative, but I think he's going to score 2 because top receiver Tyson for Arizona State's out of this game. Everything has to go through Skattebo. And also, even if he's not really breaking off big runs on the ground and, scoring long touchdowns there, he is a threat in the passing game. He's just a threat anytime he has the ball. He's so hard to take down. So give me Skattebo 2 touchdowns plus or higher than 1.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns in this game. That paired with Stockton of Georgia to throw an interception is a 4.44x multiplier. All right, let's get into some of the other sports. NBA number 1. We're going Jordan Poole higher than 18.5 points against the Bulls. This to me is just a misaligned number. Jordan Poole has been crushing this number lately. He's been scoring into the 20s with regularity. High total game here against the Bulls. I really don't understand how this number can be this low, especially with the way that he's shooting the 3 ball right now. More on that later. But the guy is just taking care of, the Wizards aren't good, right? They don't really have much to hang their hat on. But one thing they can hang their hat on is Jordan Poole scoring well. He's averaging 21.3 points per game. Again, I know it's a little bit of a defensive matchup issue potentially, but his last 5 games, 21 points, 27 points, 26 points, 31 points, 25 points. Yet this is lined at 18.5 in a game that has a total of 238. Yes, he's a game time decision. I know all that stuff. Maybe we get a rescue. I don't know, but it's just way too low. If he plays, he's going to crush this number. And we are going to pair that with Kyrie Irving, higher than 26.5 points. Kyrie Irving crushes games without Luka. I know that he also has some injury concerns, so hopefully, he's healthy and gives us full effort there. But in this, cross Texas matchup with the Mavs playing against the Rockets, I think Kyrie Irving is in a good spot to score. He's averaging 24.5 points per game without Luka. His usage rate obviously goes up. His shooting rate goes up. Everything goes up without Luka on the court. Luka is out here. So Kyrie has to be that superstar in this spot. Higher than 26.5 points, paired with Jordan Poole, higher than 18.5 points. 3x multiplier. NBA number 2. We're going to go with Trae Young, higher than 22.5 points. Another guy who's largely been going over this number, going higher than this number quite often. But the fact is, then it's another high total game. They're playing in Mile High City. They're playing at the Nuggets. So give me Trae Young higher than 22.5 points. He's had one down game in the last handful, but for the most part, he's been crushing this number. Shooting well, shooting the 3 well. Everything's been going his way. He's been a little banged up, but he's been playing through it. I think 22.5 is very low for him in this matchup. Pairing that with Jalen Brunson, higher than 25.5 points. I was tempted by Jalen Brunson higher than 36.5, higher than 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists. But I was going through his box scores. Basically, only one time this season when he hasn't had 26 plus points, he's gotten no more PRAs than 36. So it's basically this is basically a proxy for that. So if he gets higher than 25.5 points, he can probably get 36.5 PRA. But he can also get higher than 25 points and not 36.5 PRAs. So that's why I went with the points only. Brunson higher than 25.5 points. Trae Young higher than 22.5 points. 3x multiplier. Only one NHL game today. Only one NHL slip today. We're going to keep on riding it. Jack Hughes higher than 0.5 goals. Pairing that with Anze Kopitar on the other side on the Kings, higher than 0.5 assists. That's a 4x multiplier. Then let's go to college basketball. We got college basketball, one slip right here. Chucky Hepburn higher than 1.5 steals for Louisville as they host North Carolina. Then we go with Alex Caravan as UConn travels to DePaul, higher than 15.5 points. He's been crushing this number. Hope it's a competitive game. If it is, he's going to kill this. And our New Year's Day lotto. This one's all day, all sorts of action. 8 legs on this entry. Jaydon Blue higher than 0.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns. Jeremiyah Smith higher than 0.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns. Riley Leonard higher than 0.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns. Jordan Poole higher than 3.5 3-pointers made. Domantas Sabonis higher than 0.5 3-pointers made. Adrian Kempe higher than 0.5 goals. Emeka Egbuka higher than 0.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns. Tez Johnson higher than 0.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns. If this goes 8 for 8, that's 159.43x return on your money. If you go 7 for 8, 7.03x. If you go 6 for 8, 6 or 2.57x flex. Let's get it. Happy New Year. Let's make some.